The story opens with Barnaby, a hulking boxer with a gentle heart, resting his chin on a cardboard box. The car ride has been long. His owner, Lucas, cuts the engine, and silence swallows them. Beside them looms the rookery, a decaying Victorian house sitting uncomfortably close to a stagnant, mist-covered marsh. Lucas coughs, a wet, rattling sound that smells like copper and old pennies to Barnaby, and pats the dog's head. Lucas has been sick for months, his skin turning the color of parchment, but he insists this inheritance from his estranged uncle is a fresh start. They settle in. The house smells of mildew and something sweeter, like rotting lilies. Barnaby paces the hallway, his claws clicking on warped wood. He stops at the cellar door. The wood is cold, and a low hum vibrates against his sensitive nose. He whines, but Lucas is busy arranging his pill bottles in the bathroom, staring into the mirror with hollow eyes. That night, Barnaby wakes up. The room is freezing. He sees a wet footprint on the rug, too large to be Lucas's, too distorted to be human. Lucas is asleep, breathing raggedly, but his hand hangs off the bed, dripping sweat that looks strangely like dark water. Days blur. Lucas spends hours staring out at the marsh, talking to his sister, Chloe, on the phone. Chloe begs him to come back to the city, terrified of his isolation, but Lucas snaps at her, claiming the swamp air helps him breathe. Barnaby knows otherwise. He smells the sickness spreading, not just in Lucas, but in the house. One afternoon, while playing fetch in the yard, Barnaby freezes. Standing at the edge of the reeds is a figure draped in dripping algae and heavy rags. Barnaby barks ferociously, placing himself between the figure and Lucas. Lucas turns, squinting, but only sees the swaying grass. He drags Barnaby inside, scolding him, unaware that the figure has taken a step closer. The decline accelerates. Lucas stops eating. He spends his nights in the library, reading his uncle's water-damaged journals. Barnaby curls up at his feet, but he can't sleep. The shadows in the corners of the room seem to detach themselves, inching toward the light. One evening, Lucas falls into a coughing fit so violent he collapses. Barnaby licks his face, frantic, tasting salt and silt. When Lucas wakes, his eyes are glazed. He whispers, "It wants to be fed," and walks trance-like toward the cellar. Barnaby blocks the door, growling low in his throat, a warning he has never used on his master. Lucas shoves him aside with shocking strength and descends into the dark. Barnaby waits at the top of the stairs, trembling. He hears whispering below, two voices. One is Lucas's, weak and pleading. The other sounds like mud sliding over rock. Suddenly, Lucas screams. Barnaby plunges into the darkness. The basement is flooded with black, oily water. In the center, Lucas is struggling, held down by a shape that looks like a man made of river sludge and bone. Barnaby leaps, sinking his teeth into the entity's arm. It tastes of ancient decay. The entity recoils, dissolving momentarily into the water. Lucas scrambles back to the stairs, gasping, "Good boy, Barnaby." They rush upstairs and barricade the door. Lucas is shivering, his skin now marked with black, vein-like streaks. He calls Chloe, leaving a frantic voicemail saying he was wrong, that the house isn't empty. But the lights flicker and die. The hum returns, louder now, shaking the floorboards. The cellar door begins to rattle, the wood splintering as something batters it from the other side. Lucas realizes the truth. He looks at Barnaby, tears streaming down his face. "You have to go," he wheezes. He opens the kitchen window, the only exit small enough for the dog but too small for him. Barnaby refuses, planting his feet. The cellar door bursts open. A tide of black sludge pours into the hallway, carrying the stench of the grave. Lucas grabs Barnaby's collar and practically throws him out the window into the rainy night. "Run!" he screams, just as the darkness swallows the kitchen. Barnaby lands in the mud and spins around, barking at the window. Inside, he sees Lucas standing amidst the rising sludge. The figure rises behind him, placing a hand on Lucas's shoulder. Lucas stops fighting. He looks at Barnaby one last time, his expression shifting from terror to a haunting acceptance, before the black water rises over the glass, obscuring everything. The next morning, the sun breaks through gray clouds. A car screeches up the driveway. Chloe bursts out, screaming Lucas's name. She finds the house silent. The front door is locked. She circles back and finds Barnaby sitting under the kitchen window, shivering, covered in mud. She breaks into the house, but it is empty. There is no mud, no sludge, only a faint, damp smell. She searches the basement, but finds only dry concrete and Lucas's pill bottles scattered on the floor. Chloe falls to her knees, weeping, realizing he is gone. She leads Barnaby to her car. As she opens the door, a familiar whistle drifts from the marsh, the specific two-note whistle Lucas used to call him. Barnaby freezes. His ears perk up. He looks toward the reeds, tail wagging tentatively. He takes a step toward the swamp, where the water ripples seemingly on its own. Chloe calls him, desperate and terrified. Barnaby hesitates, torn between the sister and the voice of his master. Finally, the dog lets out a low, mournful whimper, turns his back on the marsh, and climbs into the car, leaving the ghosts to the water.